Tesla Model Y went on sale this weekend, and a lot of people out there believe that this is the first Tesla model that will appeal to pretty much everybody. And I don't mean just people who are looking to buy an electric car. I mean to people who are looking to buy a car. Eli Burton of My Tesla Adventure is one of those people, so he's going to be here in just a second to talk about why he believes this is the model that's going to change the world, essentially, as far as transportation goes. And they've also released a manual with so many different details, and people are posting pictures and videos of their new Model Y, although essentially it's 75%. Pretty much the same as Model 3, at least 75% of the same parts. Now, before Eli gets here, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte in Europe and in the United States next year. Absolutely free to make reservations, so go to the description of this video to reserve your Byton today. And by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. Use E4Electric as a discount code for purchases over $100. Now, I was at the unveiling about a year ago, and it wasn't overwhelming as pretty much every Tesla unveiling was, because we kind of knew what it was going to look like. As a matter of fact, the next day, people weren't even talking about a Model Y. They were talking about Elon's shoes. They were talking about the teaser image for the Cybertruck, which I still, now that I do know what Cybertruck looks like, I'm still not sure what I'm looking at over there. But people weren't necessarily talking about the Model Y, but at the same time, they ended up putting it to market, bringing it to market half a year before they've promised, which never happened. If you don't know anything about Tesla, Tesla just never delivers on time ever. Not only did they deliver on time, they delivered half a year early. So people are excited about this still. But let's bring in Eli and talk about why all of a sudden this is a game changer. Eli, tell me all about it.
Alex, man, so we are at the doorstep of the rise of the Model Y. So a lot of people think, and a lot of talk of the town originally when Model 3 came up was that, this was going to be Tesla's best-selling car. This is the car that's going to change the world. And it already is in a lot of ways, especially the way Model 3 has been putting a dent into BMW sales and the way it's just been storming across the world in its growth. But now we've got the car that's really going to be the game changer, and it's the Model Y. And here's why. So the Model Y falls into the sector of crossover SUVs. And I was looking at the data just this morning, and crossover SUVs make up 40% of light vehicle sales in the US. 40%. It is by far the biggest sector. And here's another thing too. Now that they've got an SUV, a crossover SUV that falls in half the price of the Model X, there's an entirely new market of people that this opens up to, and it's going to really start changing the conversation.
All right, now that's right. I mean, I don't think it's a secret that crossover SUVs, compact SUV, whatever you want to call it, is not only the one of the most popular cars, vehicles to buy here in the United States, but it's just as popular in Europe and China. So this vehicle can be sold across the world. Would that be fair to say?
It's absolutely fair to say. And I think there's going to be something very unique here with the Model Y that's going to create a new word of mouth mechanism that we haven't had before. And that is that Model Y is going to be a car that's going to serve, the soccer moms and the people who can't afford to buy a Model X is out of their price range, or a lot of people can't afford those cars. They just don't want to spend the money on them. Model Y is less than half the price of the Model X. And for a lot of people, it will be the perfect car. So for people who want to buy a car that's even in a reasonable price range for a luxury car, which Model Y starting at $40,000 is reasonable for a luxury car price point, they wouldn't have had enough space necessarily in the Model 3. So the Model Y, if you've got a couple kids, they do sports, the Model 3 is going to be kind of a tight car to be operating out of. It's not going to be near as ideal as this car, which is Model Y. And we've seen photos now of the trunk space, and it's awesome. It actually gives me some hope for the 7-seater that my daughter, although she's 5, and her friends are still going to fit in it when that thing comes out.
All right, so you mentioned a couple of things. Let's go back. First of all, do you think that a Model Y would be much more popular, or at least much more appealing outside of Tesla communities, simply because it's got a lot of cargo space, which Model 3 did not really have at all? Even in my example, I don't care for Model 3 for many reasons, but one of them is that, I'm a hockey goalie. I got a lot of stuff to haul to my hockey games. I can't put it in the trunk of Model 3, so I'm done. But the Model Y, that's a lot of space. Do you think this is the game changer?
Yes, the Model 3's lack of cargo space is what made the Model 3 a no-go for me. So when I was upgrading to my P100D Model S, the Raven, I considered going performance Model 3 because cost-wise it made a lot of sense. I thought it'd be fun to have the Model 3. Let's be honest, it'd also be useful for content because most Tesla owners out there now drive Model 3s, not Model S's. So I thought it'd be useful to have a 3, but at the end of the day, what lost me on the 3 was cargo space. And for me, absolutely, Tesla's going to get my money again because I've got my deposit and I'm waiting on them to start producing the 7-seater Model Y because I can use the seats when I need them, fold them down, and take advantage of the cargo space when needed. So yeah, no, I think this is Tesla's best car and perfect car to get more people. And again, I really think it's going to be the mom community that really helps grow sales of this because they are very much a word of mouth community. And when when the first of these start rolling out and people start showing their mom friends that check out my new car and they're like, oh, well, isn't it too small or isn't it cost too much? And they're like, well, I got mine for 50,000 and look how much storage space they have. That's going to open up a whole bunch of people for the first time ever to Tesla, to seriously considering buying a Tesla. But more importantly, it's going to get a whole bunch of people in their first electric vehicle.
All right.
I think there's a lot of concern by people that it's going to cannibalize Model 3. I think it will slightly, but I think really it's opening up a whole new market that just weren't going to buy a Tesla before that.
All right, but there are two other things that are in play here as far as, because we're talking about outside of Tesla community. Obviously, it's going to be hit, in a Tesla community and even an electric car community. But we're talking about like 98% of the rest of the world, right? So let's talk about price, right? This is something that people say this all the time, even with the Model 3, saying, listen, this is not an affordable car, an electric car, because we're talking about, almost $40,000 starting price. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's not going to be affordable for a lot of people. That's absolutely true, but it's not $100,000 anymore. It's $40,000, which is affordable for a lot more people. And another thing that we've got too is Tesla has done something very unique, and they did it to me. They're causing people to buy more expensive cars than they normally would. So for people who weren't normally buying a $40,000 car, were buying $25,000, $30,000 cars. They've pulled a lot of people up into the lower end of this luxury market because the value proposition is so great. And let's be honest, though, the electric car that everybody would love to see a $20,000 electric car that goes 300 miles. I'm sorry, guys, the cost of energy, the cost of kilowatts per, cost per kilowatt in battery storage is not cheap enough to allow that to happen. Are you kidding me? If Tesla could sell a $25,000 electric car and make a profit, they would. So would any manufacturer out there. The thing would sell like gangbusters. If you want a $20,000 electric car right now, you're going to get 100 miles of range. So just the truth is, this is where we're at technology-wise. But the faster that Tesla ramps these up and starts selling these, they will continue to drive down the cost of production like they already have. And it will make way to eventually have a 200-mile car that is truly affordable. But this is one of those big steps in that progression.
Yeah, and I think you mean kilowatt hour because that kind of translates to range because
yeah,
it's all about the range, right?
I'm gonna have to make a meme out of that. I did such a bad job on that one.
And let me also maybe jump in here and here's what I say to that. First of all, when people talking about where's the $15,000-$20,000 affordable electric car, well, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna have to wait until Model 3 or Model Y gets 5 years and maybe 150,000 miles, and then you can buy it for $15,000 or $20,000.
People are not, again, for people who, a lot of people don't buy new cars, and that's totally okay. Like normally I think new cars are a bad investment. I think Tesla is one of the exceptions because it's technology, and buying this year's technology always has a lot more advantage than buying 5 years technology. But even where the technology is at today, 5 years from now, these cars are going to be much more affordable. So yes, I think a big part of the thing is we've just got to give it time for there to be used cars on the market. They're out of warranty that you can pick up on the cheap. And right. These are going to be excellent used cars because the way electric vehicles hold up, you don't have 100,000 miles on electric vehicles, not a concern the way it is on a gas car.
And I think people also forget two more things, if I may. First of all, Kelley Blue Book reports that an average new car purchase, right? If we're talking about new cars here, the average new car purchase is about $35,000 to $36,000, which is pretty much what the starting price of the Model Y is going to be. So we are still within exactly what people are spending on the average car. Now, again, buy a used car if you only have $15,000 or $20,000 or $25,000, and that's just how you have to live if that's your budget. But on top of that, me and you are so used to knowing how much savings you're gonna get out of an electric car, from electricity being cheaper than gas to never having to do oil changes and well, tune-ups and all of that stuff, right? I mean,
It's
plus
the
you get
nuisance, the money, the headache. I mean, here's something too. I remember in a gas car, if I was going to go on a long road trip cross country, I would be a hesitant in a car over 100,000 miles because the probability I'm going to get broken down in some small town where I'm going to get gouged on service is pretty high. And with an electric car, that doesn't even cross your mind. So like, no, it's like the comfort, the savings. Yeah. And again, I know the money too, that like owning a Model S for the lifetime I keep the Model S, it will cost me less than if I owned a $35,000 car that wasn't an electric car or a Tesla. So when you do that calculation with Model Y and Model 3, it's incredible. We got to get more information out there. I got to make more videos along with you, Alex. We got to get more people realizing that like electric is the best thing, not only for their experience, but also their pocketbook.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's how much you're spending per month rather than what the original cost is. You know, the part of the cost of the electric car includes things that normally you spend, you know, or don't spend when you have a gas car. So people are looking at, you know, but we forget it, right? So we forget it. So really, this is the Model Y is exactly the average price of the car, and on top of that, the federal tax credit is gone. People go like, well, it's gone. But actually, most states still have $2,500 to $5,000 check that will send you when you get an electric car. And then I think your utility will send you another $500 or $600, you know, when you need to install your charging station. So it overall is very much an affordable car for an average American who's buying a new car. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. And I think the attacks on this thing is they need to make that affordable is nonsense. Absolutely. Again, I understand that everyone buying a new car is not the right move, and don't wait for it to come down used. But I was really interesting data that you shared, Alex. I didn't realize that the average purchase price of the car was so close to the base price of the Model Y and basically is the base price of the Model 3. That's absolutely incredible that Tesla managed to hit that number. And I'm sure they knew that number and they were aiming for that at their price point and production targets.
It's funny how things make sense when you use facts, right? And this one, like I said, it's not me saying it's Kelly Blue Book, and I think they kind of their information is good on this. All right, now, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, because I want this video to be watched by people who are on, you know, not really sure, not just about Tesla, but about electric cars. Now, we still have a barrier of, you know, somebody who doesn't have an electric car having to charge it somewhere, right? And people who live in apartment complexes, you know, most states do have laws where you can still force your landlord to do it as long as you pay for it, and it is getting cheaper and cheaper. Do you think that that will still slow people down, even if they absolutely love the Model Y?
If they live in apartments, yes. And if they live in apartments that don't support charging, that's absolutely going to be a barrier. But for anybody who lives in a home, having a charging setup in your home is very reasonable to do. I've done it in two different homes now. Actually, currently, I did it in the home that I'm renting. Hit up the landlord, said, "Hey, I want to pay a certified contractor to come in and do it." They said, "No problem. It's for them. It's a free upgrade. Cost me $500 to put the outlet in. Bang, boom, done."
And on top of that, you can also actually plug it into your, and sometimes you need to use an adapter. You can
In the
plug
first
it
few
in.
months of even owning the car. So again, if you live in an apartment or a situation where you can't charge for the time being, there's really nothing. It's really hard to convince those people. And honestly, for those people, my advice is that, hey, I love that you want to join. If you're willing to deal with the headache, go for it. You know, if you've got charging at work, which a lot of these tech companies do offer, and if you work in Silicon Valley or these other places, there are other ways you can get around it. But for those folks, there's not a lot that can be done at the moment. There is the activism side, like Sacramento EV is one of the associations that really pushes and fights and helps get funding to bring chargers to apartment complexes. So that's it could be something that somebody can look at too. Is if they really want the car, they can look out there and see if there's funds they can help bring to their apartment complex owner to get chargers installed.
Yeah, I think you froze for just a second, but what I was just starting to say is that you know, exactly that you can still get your landlord to do this as long as you pay for it, which could actually be worth it, especially if you're getting a rebate from the state. All right, so do you really think that Model Y will be the best-selling Tesla for the next, let's say, 5 years? You know, like starting once their production.
I think it will easily be the best-selling Tesla for the next 5 years. I think the initial demand of Cybertruck when they start shipping will outpace the initial demand of Model Y, but I think Model Y will be sustaining. It will sell globally extremely well, and I can't wait to get in one. I've been in one before the Model Y at the Model Y unveil, but I'm ready to get in one today. I'm actually going to go drive around for a little bit and see if I can connect with any owners who've recently taken delivery and take a ride. But yeah, this car is the future of Tesla's bank account, 100%.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the Cybertruck, because I think by the time Cybertruck is in production, Model Y is going to be in production at least at 2 factories full force. So
I agree, actually. It's why I'm saying just initial demand. I totally think sales of Model Y and the production of Model Y and the amount of cars they make per week will always be higher than the Cybertruck. But I do think the amount of people who are going to want that Cybertruck the first month it comes out will be higher than it is even for the Model Y. Like Model Y is going to be a much more stable growth. Cybertruck, it's going to be all like for so many people and content creators and YouTubers and just the wow factor of it. There's going to be insane demand to have that car first.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, I'm sure this is not the last video we're going to make together about the Model Y, but thanks for your perspective. And I hope the people who are watching who've never considered Tesla or an electric car, this could be a game changer for them. So thanks again, and I will see you next week.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, guys, and of course, don't forget to get a copy of the Adventures of Starman. I have both versions right here. And of course, this is the latest. You can go, the link is in the description of this video. And don't forget that we have other amazing contributors, much like Eli, that includes Sandy Monroe, the CEO of Faraday Future, Karsten Breitfeld, Rich Rebuilds, and many others. So if there was ever a reason to subscribe to this channel, don't forget to do that by hitting the subscribe button and a bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. And I promise you, in the next couple of weeks, there will be a new addition, and I think you're gonna really dig this new contributor. All right, guys, looking forward to your comments. Other than that, I will see you next time, and remember to stay charged.
Are you okay?